Hello, now we are going to have a look at rearranging formulae. So where would we want to rearrange formulae? Well, if we have a look at our first equation here, our first formula, we have 4y minus x is equal to 7. And we want to make y the subject. That means rewrite this so we have y is equal to everything else. So if we want to get at y is equal to everything else, if we have a relationship between x and y like this, this is the equation of a straight line. So we might want to rearrange it in this form. So we had it in the form y is equal to mx plus c, where m is the slope and c is the constant on the end. It's where we cross the y-axis. So this is an example of where we would want to rearrange formula so that we can read off more interesting information about the relationship that we're describing in the equation. So that's the reason why we want to do this. And the way that we do it is exactly the same way as we've always rearranged equations. So I want to end up with 1y is equal to everything else. So I don't want this 4 multiplied by the y, and I don't want this minus x here. But I'm going to deal with my addition and subtraction first, as I always do. So I end up with 4y is equal to x plus 7, and I want 1y. So I need to divide both sides by 4. So I have y is equal to, and for the equation of a line anyway, if you would separate these, but it's perfectly acceptable for most purposes to simply leave that as y is equal to x plus 7 all over 4. If we were writing it out, we would separate out these two fractions, I should say. You could end up with x all over 4 plus 7 all over 4 if we were dealing with the equation of a line. For our purposes right now, this line is perfectly okay for a final answer. But again, this is a reason why we might want to be rearranging our letters instead of just getting a letter equals a number. Now, write x in terms of k. So I can see here I have stuff involving x, and I also have stuff involving k, and I have some numbers which often aren't specified in our question. So if we want x in terms of k, that means the same thing as making x the subject. It means x is equal to everything else. So I know my goal is to end up with 1x is equal to everything else. Doesn't matter if it's letters or numbers, I have 1 of x is equal to everything else. So I need to get all of my x's to one side, and I need to get everything else to the other side, as we normally would do for trying to solve an equation. So I want to have my 2x over here. So I have ax plus 2x minus 2k plus 4 is equal to 9. I can see I have 4 that I can get rid of on my left-hand side. So I end up with ax plus 2x minus 2k is equal to 5. I only want x's on this side, so I don't want this k over here. So I'm going to add 2k to both sides. So I have ax plus 2x is equal to 5 plus 2k. Now, at this point, I've done all the rearranging that's obvious, but now I can say, well, I want x by itself. I don't want ax and 2x. I want 1x. So what I can do is take out this common factor of x. I have x is a factor of ax and 2x. So I can take out that common factor. We would often write the letter first, so I will rewrite that k in front. Not technically wrong to do it otherwise, but we usually write the letters in front and a number on the end. Now that I have taken out my common factor, I can divide out that common factor. A plus 2 divided by a plus 2 is just 1, so I'm left with 1x on the left-hand side, and to keep the balance of my equation, I have to divide the other side by a plus 2. So I'm left with 1x on the left-hand side, and then this doesn't particularly simplify, there's no common factor or anything. But I have 2k plus 5 all over a plus 2. In terms of the question, I just noted I should have K and A specified. So any letters I should have specified, but it asks for X in terms of anything. It means X by itself is equal to, but I should have mentioned the A because there's a letter there along with the K. Now we can get these involving fractions as well, and we follow all of the tools that we already know, but we're just rearranging. Our final answer is going to be, again, K in terms of M and N. So I want K is equal to everything else is my final answer, or 1K is equal to. So I know I want to end up with 1K is equal to everything else for my final answer. So I need to get single fraction is equal to a single fraction all over the same denominator, so I can compare my top lines together and simplify my equation. So at the moment I have a denominator of 1 here. There's nothing I can simplify in any of my fractions. So I'm simply looking for my lowest common denominator. So I have 2, 4, and 1. My lowest common denominator is 4. My lowest common multiple of 2, 4, and 1 is 4. So I need to multiply above and below here by 2. So 2 by 2 is 4. I now have the correct denominator there. I need to multiply here by 4 over 4. So I end up with 2k all over 4 plus 3m plus k all over 4 is equal to 4n all over 4. Now I need to add my fractions together so I can directly compare like with like. But I have everything over 4, so I'm a long way there. I'm adding on all of this top line. So I have 2k. I can just add up my like, nope, not my like term there. I can add up my like terms, my k terms here. Now I have a single fraction over 4 is equal to a single fraction over 4. I can simplify this. I know that this numerator must be the same as this numerator, and I can show that by simply multiplying both sides of my equation by 4, because 4 divided by 4 is 1, 4 divided by 4 is 1, and I no longer have a fraction to deal with. So I have 3k plus 3m is equal to 4n. I want to get k by itself, so I have to subtract 3m from both sides. So 3k is equal to 4n minus 3m, and divide both sides by 3 in order to end up with 1k. So 4n minus 3m all over 3. And that's as far as we need to go for that. We can also get situations where the letter we are trying to make the subject is underneath the line. So here I have 4 all over p, and I have the rest of my stuff, and I want to make p the subject. So I want to end up with p, or 1p, is equal to everything else. So I need to get rid of these fractions as I usually would. But my denominator is going to be a little bit more algebraic this time. So I can see I have p, 3, and 2. Well, the lowest common denominator of the numbers is 6, and then I need to have p as a factor as well. So that's the lowest common denominator that I can have. So here I need to multiply by 6 all over 6. Here I need to multiply by 2 all over 2. And here I need to multiply by 3 all over 3. So that I get my correct denominators for everything. So I have 24 all over 6p minus 4k all over 6. Oops, sorry, this should be multiplied by p. And this should be multiplied by p as well. So 3 by 2p is 6p, 2 by 3p is 6p, and 6 by p is 6p. So we now have our correct denominators for everything. So we have 27p all over 6p. We now have everything over our correct denominator, and we can add our fractions together because we have the same denominator on our left here. So 24 minus 4kp all over 6p is equal to 27p all over 6p. I now compare like with like. I have 6p as what I'm counting in, or what I've been divided into. So to get rid of my fraction, I'm able to multiply both sides by 6p. But I also know that they must be equal because they are counting in the same amount. So I have this amount of 6p's and this amount of 6p's, or 6p. So I multiply that out. 6p divided by 6p is 1. So I have 24 minus 4kp is equal to 27p. And now I need to start the business of making p the subject. So I've been simplifying up until now. Now I need to get p to be the subject. So I'm going to get all of the stuff involving p over to one side so I can group it together as best as possible. So I end up with 24 is equal to 27p plus 4kp. I take out my common factor of p so that I isolate the letter I am after. 27. My common factor that I'm looking for is just p. Wouldn't matter if I had another common factor. I just want p by itself. So take out your factor of p, and I have 4k. I want 1p. That is my goal, as it was before. So I'm going to divide both sides by this bracket. This bracket divided by itself is 1. It doesn't matter how complicated the thing is. If you divide it by itself, it's always 1. I must do the same thing to the other side to keep my balance. And I end up with 24 all over 27 plus 4k is equal to 1p. So that's how I can do all of my different rearranging in order to get the letters as subjects or to write them in terms of other letters. And that is what we need for now.